Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. Please make sure if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And also hit that notification bell so you get reminders of when to tune in. Today I'm going to take this $20 Facebook Marketplace plant, pot, and stand and turn it into this version or this version from West Elm for $191. Quite the savings and also sustainability for our planet. So here's what it looks like. It's gorgeous how it is, but again, I want that kind of more modern look where it's just white, sleek, and this is how we're gonna get there. The tools that I'm gonna use, I just picked up this craft paint from Michaels. I believe it was $3 to $5 at the most. Paintbrush, a sanding piece of sandpaper, some Windex, and of course a rag to wipe down the pot. You just want to make sure there is no dust, no dirt, no grime, because of course that will prevent the paint from sticking. Now I'm just going to take my sandpaper and go over the top. It is more of a shiny ceramic, so if I can go through and kind of create some texture, it will just enable the paint to stick that much better. And I am, as you can see, kind of scrubbing away with that sandpaper and no texture is happening. So we're gonna just dive right in and start the painting. I'm just using the lid as my paint spatula, if you will. And I'm going in with horizontal paint strokes to start off with. I am also targeting the blue stripes. I want to make sure that those are completely covered up, and the more you can cover up these blue stripes with the first layer of paint, the better. That way you can again kind of stamp them out and you don't have to use as much paint. Again, I'm just continuing with those horizontal paint strokes throughout the entire piece. You also want to make sure that the piece dries. I believe it's an hour in between coats. Now just make sure you go around the top of the piece. You don't want any paint or excess paint to drip down onto the outside of the pot. I'm kind of going through and pulling it inward, so if it does drip down, it's going to drip on the inside, which is easier to sand, and you can't really see it when the pot is in, or the plant is in the pot rather. Just going through and just making sure that it's nice and smooth and evened out. From here, I went ahead and gave it that dry time of, I believe the recommended time is an hour. So now I'm starting from the bottom of the piece and working up. I'm going in very slow, controlled strokes. I want to make sure that I'm applying a generous amount of paint to, again, I'm going to kind of keep it to just 2 coats here is the ideal amount of paint. And to achieve this, the slow, controlled strokes just apply a more generous amount of paint to the item that you're painting. The reason for horizontal and now vertical paint strokes, it creates this really neat texture on the pot, so it almost looks like a woven effect once it's done, and I kind of like that. If you don't want any texture, then I would probably still suggest just going with the vertical up and down movement of the paint, and then that way you kind of get more of a standard brush stroke, or if you're even better than that, you will have no brush strokes at all, which I have yet to master. So if you guys have any tips for 0 brush strokes when you're painting either furniture or in this case a ceramic pot, please leave me your tips and tricks in the comments below. I would love to figure out how to, again, get that nice smooth application of paint without having to go back over or sand or worry about which direction I am painting. So again, I'm just kind of going around the top of the piece as we did before, making sure that nothing is kind of dripping down. Everything's nice and cohesive. And like I had mentioned, you're gonna save, I believe, the pot. I had mentioned I spent $20 on Facebook Marketplace, and the paint was, I'd say, $3. I already had the brush and the sandpaper, so that wasn't anything that I applied money to. But I mean, this is a good savings if you just kind of look for the idea of the pot that you want and then kind of keep an open mind and be willing to paint. And I'll take this time to make sure you subscribe, hit the like button if you like what you see, and please hit the notification bell if you would like to see more of these fun DIYs, upcycles, and again, anything that is sustainable for our planet. I love to reuse items that people are getting rid of, and also just supporting people and just supporting the Facebook Marketplace. Again, now I'm kind of just going around the top, making sure that all of my brush strokes are nice and smooth. Again, this is key. You just don't want any of the paint to drip down. We've all been there, and then you have to go through and do the unnecessary sanding, which I'm not a fan of. So I don't know, hopefully you're not either. And also, I want to kind of throw out there, it is super important to kind of keep, once you start in a certain spot with the paint, that you continue around the pot and don't go in and paint sporadically. I'm saying this to say this, that I actually did that, and I started at a part of the pot. It was a little too, I think it's on the opposite side here. I laid down the paint there first, so when I went back and did the second coat, it actually, the time that it spent for me to get around the pot to that other section, it ended up picking up the paint. So it completely removed the first layer that I had done and also the second layer. So you'll see here in just a bit, I will show you how I kind of rectify this situation and continue to try to patch together what I have done. So just make sure the dry time in between is super, super important. Also, it could have been that I maybe left a little bit of dust or debris on the pot in that certain area, and that's why it didn't stick initially. But I'm pretty sure I just ended up starting at an area and then went back through and kind of did a second coat, and it must have just made the layer of paint underneath like wet again, so it literally just lifted back off the pot. And if you guys have any suggestions on like how to paint and not have this happen, I believe it happened like right there, so I'm literally trying to go back through and kind of go from top to bottom, and yeah, there you go. It's just completely peeling off in that chunk, you can see. So this is kind of where I start to go in and just tap or like stipple the brush in place. But I'm noticing there's quite a bit of texture that is happening here. So I go back through and try to like do another swipe and like even out the texture. And it does the same thing where it just like completely lifts back up the paint. So if you are going to do the stippling method, oh, there we go, lift it back off. So if you are going to try to go in and, rectify it, just stick with the stippling motion, or hindsight, I would just completely let it dry again. Don't touch it and, try to fix it, because it just ended up making it kind of worse in the long run. But that's why I'm sharing this in my video with you, so you can not make my same mistake. I'm going back through and just going around the top. Now I'm taking a fingertip, trying a new method, seeing if skin on paint will keep it in place a little bit better than the brush. And it's really not working. So what I ended up doing is off camera, there's a little patch of it where it is a little bumpy. I just ended up sanding that down and it was fine. Here is the finished product with my Monstera in there. So again, just reminder, subscribe, hit the like button, notification, all that jazz. Thank you. We'll see you. Bye.